Hello there, dear so treasured friends. I just thought I'd hop on here and show you 5 pro tips when doing my what I call 3D EPP or 3D English Pellon piecing. I like the Pellon Peltex 70. It is my favorite stuff, and I want to show you some tips of working with it. All right, here we go. The first thing I'd like to talk about is needles. A lot of people ask me what sort of needle I am using, and honestly, to be 100% honest, I just use whatever I buy. And if you can see these, whatever I can find, whatever I can find in my big needle bin, I must have liked these because I used them all. But generally my needle ends up looking something like this. A little bit bent. I don't know if you can see this. I just use a single strand of thread, which is usually a Gutermann polyester thread, because it's a little bit stronger and I want to pull on it with the stabilizer. And then to get my thread ready for sewing, I just put the end there, make a little knot on the end, like that. I don't know if this shows. Let's show one here. And then I'm ready to go. So that's the needles I use. Let me know if you want what you like to use. Some are a little pokier at the end, some are easier to thread, but I suggest just not too thick, not too thin. I like it if it bends a slight bit, not too much. You can see that one I'm using is slightly bent. And just something that's comfortable for you. It shouldn't be too hard to get through, too long, too short, just not aggravating. And you know, if your hands are a little bit compromised in your joints, sometimes I can use that even to pull my needle through if need be, but I usually don't have any problem. Okay, that's pro tip number 1. Pro tip number 2 is glue. No need to buy any expensive glues. Lately, my friend told me about this purple glue. It disappears. It's a washable Elmer's school glue. It's been working great. This I got from Staples. It's just a white small glue stick, and I just open it up a little bit, put a little bit on there, and then I use the edge to glue, which I'll show you shortly. Also, this is one I think that I've mentioned before. I find they all work about the same. So I like these 3. And again, I just use the edge of it, and I'll demonstrate that shortly. All right, one other little thing I want to tell you about before I start doing some demos is, you know how much I love to make templates. So for example, I will print my pattern. This is the Prosperity Bowl large. I will print it on transparency film, and then I'll cut out the pieces. And then what I love to do is once they're cut out, is I take a little bit of double-sided sticky tape and I put a piece on the back, and then I stick it to a little sleeve. I used to put them inside, but now I just have these, I don't know if this shows, but a 3-hole punch sort of plastic, I don't know what this is, folder, and I just stick them on there, so they're so easy to grab if I want a fussy cut. I've got these handy templates, and I store all of them in a binder. You can see these ones I've used so much. I've even got little lines so I can center them if I'm fussy cutting. I've even cut into this one by mistake and retaped it, but they're well used and they last a long time. Okay, next tip. Let's say I wanted to iron my shapes. I just love doing this little thing. I just pretend this is my ironing surface. So I get a scrap piece of fabric and I mark it. And let's say I've got all my little pieces that I've already covered. Here's a few of them. I'd lay them in here. Let's say I did those 4 separate. And then I put this over top because you don't want anything transferring to your ironing board like that. And I do use a big full iron, but just for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to use this little one because it'll fit on this little screen setup I have. But so pressed in between here, I would press, and I use steam, press, 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 and then, pretending this is on, I just flip the whole thing over and do the other side. Give it a really good press like that. So when your shapes come out, you would kind of just peel them off like that. You would see that this is all completely down. There's no gaps or ripples or anything going on here. And I just think they're real. Well, look at that. That's not so great, but I would fix that. Same with that. That's not great there, but this should be solidly down. Okay. So I love that little ironing tip. Now, what was the other one? The other important thing before I'll tell you what I've been doing lately is a little bit about accuracy. EPP is all about accuracy. And let's say you don't have the pre-cut shapes and you want to trace something out. So again, I would take my little, this one I haven't put the tape on yet, but let's say I'm doing one of the, what's on there? Put a little piece of tape on the back. I'd put it on my stabilizer. And then when you're doing this, I want you to use a really fine pen. And I just use a little permanent fine line Sharpie. But see, especially on the Prosperity Bowl, which is kind of, I would say, the trickiest bowl because it has the biggest curves. It's asking the design to do the most. You want to have this really accurate so that when you cut it out, you've got this corner nice and nicely drawn. Okay, so let's say you cut it out and you've got your shape. Here's a bigger one. I always mark if it's the outer or inner so I don't get mixed up. And then when I wrap it on this side, and this would be the back side. So let's go into that a little bit. Okay, so use some old scrap paper when you're gluing. Won't mess up your surface. So here's one that I have. It's an outer large. And I've got my little piece of fabric here already cut out. And you can see, you can leave even more if you want, but at least that much fabric around your shape. And what I would do, I'll use the purple so you can see. Now here is a key tip. Here, you know, in the Goodness Bowl pattern, I suggest the order of doing your sides first and then your top and your bottom. Well, here's the thing. Lately, I've been doing it differently because a friend suggested doing it this way, doing your top and bottom first and then your sides. Now, the key thing here is when you're doing your top, can you see how this is just slightly angled down? That's really key because when you go to put your bowls together and sew across the top of your bowls, this will hide in between the inner and the outer bowl. So don't leave this sticking up here. All right, so let's just try it that way. Let's try doing the top and the bottom first and see what happens. All right, so I would put it here. I don't know if this will show, but see how I've just got the little edge there and I'm kind of using it on the edge. Okay, this purple isn't really showing that much. Oh my goodness. This one just doesn't feel as dark as some of them. So you can see where I'm putting the glue. I'm being pretty generous actually. And then, all these little threads today. I'm just going to do this. See how I'm pushing that over? And then even here, look at this corner. This is the one on the Prosperity Bowl. I really want you to get that nice little corner, okay? Because it's all about the accuracy. So can you see that there? Should look like that. Then you can flip it over. Not putting it down where the glue is. I'll find a different spot on the backing paper so I'm not making the front gluey. This is not a dark purple like it is on some fabrics. It'll show a little more than on the red, but anyway, so you can see I'm putting it all along there, a little bit here, so that when I fold this over, hopefully this is showing. Move it up a little bit. Again, I want that nice corner there. I want it nice and snug right here. Does that show there? All right, and then the sides. I really like how this reduced the little bumping that you get on that on some bowls. It's even nicer. So again, I'm going to pull this in, and I haven't put enough. Oh, I forgot to glue here. Oh my goodness. Put some glue there, and then it should have no problem just sort of gathering it in like that. But here, we don't want that sticking up like that. We want to angle this in like that. So, but we don't want any bumps. So what we're going to do is we're just going to work with that. This is really key. Do this part and you will love it. You will love how it turns out, and you want this solidly down, and it will be even more solid after it's ironed. But does that show you a little bit about how that's angled in a little bit? And so when you turn it, this should be just really beautiful, because that is the shape of your side panel, and that determines the sort of the beauty of, you know, the full shape of your bowl or boat or whatever you're making. So again, you can see I've put it there. Did I put some there? Can't even see it on the red. And then I'm pulling it in, and again I'm angling that down in. I have to turn this so I can do it nice and smooth, really solidly down. I'm sort of exaggerating this so you can see, but I hope this is showing on the video how this is just slightly below the top, that fold, right? And when you iron it, it's going to look fabulous. So your pieces should look like this, and this should be solidly glued down. All right, because a little thing is, here, for example, is the shape of the prosperity bowl. And because of the curves, you can see these templates, they are made to, they're exactly the same length from here to here. So when you're covering your fabric, do I have a different color so it will show? Let's see. So let's say here's the centerpiece, and then here's the one that's going to go on here. If it looks like it's a bit bigger, do you see how on the edge it looks like it's going over? I haven't quite wrapped this tight. There's a little more bulk here. So what you're going to do when you do that is, what I want you to do is, when you're sewing it on, I want you to center that. So still center it. Even if there's a tiny bit sticking out on the edge, that's okay, but center it. Don't start in like this and then have a great big piece sticking out there. Because when you go to sew it together, like this is one bowl that I'm making out of beautiful ruby star fabrics. Even if, I don't know if you can see this on here, but you see how there's just a slight little bit sticking out there? When you go to sew these together, that's just hidden in the Pellon. You won't even see it. It doesn't matter. But do that centering. I think that's really important. And I think that is all the tips. I think I've mentioned them. So let me know if you have any more questions. I'd like to cover any tips to help you out, and give that little new order that I'm doing a try, doing the tops and the bottoms first, and see what you think. And I hope you have great fun. I always love your comments and suggestions, and I've got a lot of new things coming out, so I hope you'll stay tuned, and thank you for watching. Patterns are available at sewtreasure.com, and thanks for watching. Bye.